Thank you very much. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone present today and those watching the broadcast and call the July 10th, 2018 regular meeting to order with all board members present except Trustee Michael McQuarrie, who's absent. And Dr. Evans is on his way now. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may now be seated. If you wish to address the board on any of the agenda items before the board today, or on a subject that's not on today's agenda and your name is not already on the blue speaker list located at both entrances to the auditorium, and you've not already submitted a request for public testimony form, please complete the public request for testimony form and submit it to Cheryl Ward, the board action officer located on your left. Speaker forms are located at both entrances to the auditorium. Section B, adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt today's agenda with Section J, the superintendent's consent agenda, to be considered next, following the adoption of the agenda and item I-1, the second reading and resolution to place a general obligation bond measure on the November 6, 2018 general election ballot to be heard immediately following D, non-agenda public testimony. Is there a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion, a second. Please vote. And that passes. On to the superintendent's consent agenda. Does any board member wish to remove any item from the consent agenda? All right. We have speakers on consent items J15, J16. Do I have a motion to move the superintendent's consent agenda with the exception of 15 and 16 to be considered at the end of the meeting?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. That passes 4-0. On to public participation and non-agenda public testimony up to 30 minutes. Non-agenda public testimony is also heard at the end of the meeting. Today's meeting of the board will now hear speakers. Do we have any additional? Okay. Okay. Okay, because we have 17 speaker lists submitted, the 30 minutes will then be divided by that, so each speaker will get 2 minutes, and then that'll take us to 30 minutes, and then the remaining speakers will be heard at the end of the board meeting, because we've allowed 30 minutes for non-agenda public testimony. Each speaker has 2 minutes at this time. Francine Maxwell. Citizen. Dana Villanueva. Danya Villanueva, Khalid Tamimi, Mateo Brunel. We're calling speakers up in order as we've organized it for the board's purposes. Is Mateo Brunel here?
Yeah, wait. So we didn't understand that you were changing the order.
I'm not changing the order. I'm putting them in order as they were submitted online.
Oh.
That's the process that we've used for many, many years.
So online and then everyone else is...
Yeah. So, Mr. and Mrs. Villanueva? Not here. Okay, that's fine. You can defer and not speak. Mateo Brunel? Mateo, would you like to speak at this time or not? Right over here at the microphone? Yeah. Whichever one you choose, but the blue one might work better for your height. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you. Okay.
You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Okay.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Mathéo Brunel et j'ai 9 ans et je suis un étudiant de 3e année dans le programme de français à Language Academy. Mes professeurs m'ont enseigné à l'agence l'importance de me défendre. Je suis ici aujourd'hui pour défendre mes intérêts et ceux de mes camarades de classe. Je m'inquiète beaucoup de ce qui se passera la prochaine année scolaire sans assez d'enseignants. Je me demande combien de temps mon professeur aura-t-il pour moi? À quel point cela sera-t-il bruyant avec autant d'étudiants dans une classe? Ma voix serait-elle entendue? Comment mon professeur va-t-il me connaître? Comment vais-je continuer à apprendre et à progresser en français? Qu'arriva-t-il aux étudiants qui ont besoin d'aide supplémentaire? Comment tu sentirais-tu si j'étais ton fils? Comment répondriez-vous à mes inquiétudes? Vous avez le pouvoir de régler ces problèmes. Et je suis ici aujourd'hui pour vous demander d'utiliser ce pouvoir pour m'aider, moi et mon école. Merci de votre attention.
Thank you. Well done, sir. Merci. Kieran Collins. And then after Kieran will be Andrew Bailey.
Hello, my name is Kieran Collins, and I am 8 years old and a 3rd grade student in the French program at the Language Academy. My teachers have taught me about agency, the importance of advocating for myself. I'm here today to advocate for myself and my classmates. I worry a lot about what will happen next school year without enough teachers. I ask, how much time will my teacher have for me? How noisy it will be with so many students in one class. Will my voice be heard? How will my teacher get to know me? How will I make progress? How will I continue to learn and grow in the French language? What will happen to the students who need extra help? How would you feel if I was your daughter? How would you respond to my worries? You have the power to fix these problems, and I'm here today to ask that you use that power to help me in my school. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Andrew Bailey. Okay, Richard Thompson, you have 2 minutes, sir.
Good afternoon. Did any of you watch the semifinal today? And are you a fan of France or? No, that's true. There are many, many languages in the world, as many as there are teams, certainly. And this year, the United States did not make it, but France may play England, and Brazil may play another national team. And certainly every time one of those balls is kicked into the net and you hear goal, that means that 100 million people have seen a particular ball with a particular configuration. And the reason I'm wearing a barca, and incidentally on the back it does say UNICEF, United Nations for Children. And I was the PTA president of San Diego High School. And incidentally, that's the high school with the largest endowment in the city and county of San Diego, and has one of the largest endowments in the world. And certainly my education in university and my education is owed to my education at San Diego City Schools. And my brother got his degrees from San Diego State and from MIT, and my other brother got it from, well, he was the only white boy on the line in the high school in eastern San Diego. and he was All-American. Now, I'm not a representative of San Diego State University, but they are in favor of having SDA, SU West Campus, and it ties into their argument for having the soccer stadium.
Thank you very much, sir. Next speaker is Alejandra Gomez.
Hello.
You have 2 minutes.
Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Alejandra Gomez. I've been a district employee for 22 years, 16 of those as a dual language immersion teacher at the Language Academy. I'm also a parent at this school, and we are here as a Language Academy community to request attention to the manner in which our school is funded. We are an atypical school with 3 distinct programs. We are seeking to be granted 3 budget allocations while still maintaining 1 principal and 1 BP to oversee our 3 programs. Every year, our school juggles with a one-size-fits-all budget, but our school is precisely the opposite of a generic rule. It uniquely offers 2 instructional language models and 1 middle school experience. Research supports the efforts of our school. Dual language models close the reading achievement gap of ELs and socioeconomically disadvantaged students. That's the work our school does. It can only be done if the integrity and the purity of our program models are left intact. We can safeguard the success of our programs if we maintain teachers that are highly experienced and trained in the methodologies and principles of the programs we implement. Our work succeeds if the resources to accommodate the separation of languages in a team teaching environment is made available. And of course, size of our classrooms matter. Currently, the self-contained or a 3-teacher setup rotation due to combos alongside the devastating loss of 2 veteran teachers caused by excess situations already imposes challenges to our effectiveness. We invite the board to work with us in helping us make the necessary changes to help us resolve this matter and return to a model of best practices. The impact will be felt on the lives of our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Luke Fuzak.
Buenas noches, miembros de la Junta Escolar. Mi nombre es Luke Fuzak y estoy en 6º grado en Language Academy. También tengo 3 hermanos menores en mi escuela y debido a que los maestros dejarán nuestra escuela el próximo año, van a perderse algunas de las increíbles experiencias de 4º y 5º grado que tuve. La señora Pérez era mi maestra de 4º grado. Comencé mi amor por la historia en su clase cuando me enteré de las misiones de California. Ella ha estado en Language Academy por 15 años y ama tanto la escuela y la educación de inmersión que hasta sus propios hijos asisten a la escuela. El señor Johnson era mi maestra de 5º grado y aprendí mucho en su clase. Me enseñó mucho sobre tecnología, tomando notas con él, historia y me ayudó a convertirme en un escritor seguro. Estoy desconsolado por la partida de estos 2 maestros. Incluso si somos capaces de recuperar a 1 o 2 maestros después de que comience la escuela, probablemente no sean estos maestros. Me entristece tanto el saber que no miran los valores académicos que recibimos en nuestra escuela y toman decisiones sin mirar todo lo bello que tiene nuestra escuela. Creo que las ideas de los otros oradores ayudarán a evitar que esto suceda en el futuro. Muchas gracias por su tiempo y atención.
Thank you. Gabriela Salas.
Good afternoon. My name is Gabriela Salas. I am a 4th grade student in the Language Academy's Dual Immersion program. I am here today to tell you how special my school is. Thanks to Language Academy, I'm a successful student who studies 2 languages. I feel very happy to be able to do this since I know that this will help me in my future life. It is at my school that I practice thinking, working, and participating in English during reading and math. Also, I think, work, and participate in Spanish when I do research, read books, and explore social studies. My classmates do the same, and we all learn, talk, and play in both languages. That is why I have come here to tell you that my school is unique and its Language Academy teachers are also unique. My teachers taught my older sister, and they were also the teachers of many of my other classmates. We are a school, but also a family. We all wanted to continue like this. We wish that no teacher has to say goodbye and that our classes continue as they have been until now. I come here to ask you to help Language Academy. I come because I know that you work to support us and that I have a lot of hope that you will listen to us. Muchas gracias por escucharnos. Nosotros confiamos en que ustedes nos ayudarán.
Thank you. Elisa Peñaloza.
Hello, my name is Elisa Peñalosa. I am a third grade Spanish, math, and science teacher at the Language Academy. I am here to speak to you about our school. Our school is a unique school, as has been mentioned, and we would like to let you know that we are 3 schools on one campus. We are a Spanish elementary school, a French elementary school, and also a middle school. I would like to speak to you on the topic of the added challenges in replacing experienced bilingual dual language immersion teachers. As research on language immersion studies grow, language programs are becoming more and more popular, and that is making it more difficult to find experienced teachers. There is much data available on how immersion programs are increasing and how they support and enhance student performance and lead to global citizens. Our graduating 8th graders are proof of that. In both of our programs, they take the AP exam for Spanish and for French. In the last 4 years, 100% of our students have passed the AP exams. So I just ask you to please work with us on helping make our school better.
Thank you. Idara Eisenwood.
Good afternoon. Hi. My name is Idara Estian, and I am a parent of 2 children at the Language Academy. I have been increasingly become concerned about the status of children of color, in particular Black children, at our school. I'm a big advocate on the importance of relationships, perceptions, and representation. There is a recent understanding that there is a planned departure of one of our only 3 Black teachers, Mr. Johnson. He's the only Black male at our school. His absence would mean that a sizable contingent of Black children at the school will never engage an educator from their own racial ethnic background. From research, it is essential for children to interact with educators who are diverse and representative of their communities. This is a benefit for both Black and non-Black children. Black children at our school represents about 13% of the student body. Moreover, this concern is elevated by the performance measures from the DASH report from the California Department of Education website that demonstrates that Black children at the Language Academy have EL, arts, and mathematics success indicators that are at the orange level and are currently decreasing as well. I'm concerned. I'm concerned with the low 21.1 points below level 3. With understanding these numbers and increasing class sizes and losing teachers, those numbers will continue to affect those numbers as well. My husband and I, Dr. J. Luke Wood, are both San Diego State faculty members in the College of Education, so we do work in this area. So we understand that representation, relationships, and maintaining and retaining teachers are important. Those are building blocks to student success at this level, especially for students of color. So my hope, or our hope, is that the value of keeping our teachers will increase, not decrease. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Elizabeth Bills.
Bonjour. I am a teacher in the 3rd grade in the French immersion program at the Language Academy. When I began 18 years ago, we were the only public French immersion program in the state, and happily that is no longer the case. However, it must be noted that these newer French immersion programs are supported on the district level by immersion specialists and receive adequate funding for curricular materials. This is not the case at our school. Many of the French materials in our classrooms were either purchased or created by our teachers due to the fact that we received no district allocated funds for the purchase of French materials at the Language Academy. We risk lagging behind these newer French immersion schools if San Diego Unified cannot equitably allocate funds and resources, including teachers, for all of the languages taught at our school. We stand ready and willing to share our experience and expertise in order to improve not only our programs, but the implementation of language immersion programs throughout our district. Thank you.
Thank you. Cyrus Jabbar.
Good afternoon, members. Good afternoon, members of the board. I'm here on behalf of many parents, students, and faculty of the Language Academy. With the amount of the cutbacks that we get, it's exhausting. We are a typical school with three different schools on one campus. We want to maintain it. However, the district keeps funding us as a typical model that you have, and it's not working for us. It is exhausting every day, every year to go to the school to put our souls and hearts into it. You heard from our kids, how are they supposed to succeed when you keep giving us the cutbacks that you're giving us? How would your kids feel how would you feel when your kids come home with all these worries? We have, let's see here, how many kids do we have with IAPs in our school? All of these kids deserve better than how you, are treating our children. We vote you in the office. We have the power to take you out as well. We ask you to help us out here. It's just simple as that. Thank you.
Kimberly DeBerzunza.
Good evening. I have been a language immersion teacher in this district for 20 years and a language academy parent for 12, which is longer than most of you have been in the district and longer than any of you have been in your current positions. Through the tenure of 4 principals, 4 superintendents, and at least 15 board members, I have been at this podium at least 6 times fighting for Language Academy's successful immersion programs. Why? Because every few years we risk losing teachers and forming overcrowded combo classes and losing other resources that make our school work due to the illogical funding allocations given by the district. And we have to keep coming back to explain our program and why your allocations and other proposals don't work and will undermine the success of our school. So instead of us taking up your time here, how about we define and publish what an immersion school needs, and then you fund them accordingly and consistently every year. Our immersion program stands on its own. It does not need continual justification. You want language immersion programs because parents want them, and you want them to stay in the district. So please put your money where your mouth is and fund immersion schools in a way that they will continue to be successful and stable.
Andy Pendelay. I apologize if I mispronounced your last name.
I get it a lot. It's okay. So my name is Andy Pendoli. I'm the proud parent of 2 students at the Language Academy. And just a little bit more perspective to building on what you've heard here this evening. We do know that in the LCAP that the district adopted that you've indicated English language learners and socioeconomically disadvantaged students have the greatest needs. It makes a lot of sense. And specifically in Action 1.2.c, you've indicated a lot of important supports for English language learners, including, for example, a class size cap of 32 to 1 for grades 4 to 6, for example. And for perspective now, part of what you've been hearing today is that we're looking at, for instance, in grades 4 and 5 for next year, with the loss of the teachers, upwards of 35 students, 35 to 1. So we're really concerned about that for an immediate need. But what we also know too is that in immersion programs, class size is an important determinant of achievement as well. So just that larger size lowers that value and the impact for our students. And then stretching our teachers who work incredibly hard, and we really appreciate and respect what they've done, but stretching them across both programs a little bit is really challenging too and further dilutes it. If we further lose teachers, particularly at this campus and in this district, bilingual immersion teachers who are certified, we're now continuing to compete with more schools and districts up and down the state, because thankfully we're growing this in our state. So ultimately, the admin, the administration, the faculty, the families at this school have been very creative over the years to make it work, but we are now at our limit. So our request to you is to, for now, preserve 2 positions for school year 18-19 and not lose those positions. And then we'd also like to begin the process of working with you to reallocate funding in school year 19-20, looking into next year, to fully fund 3 distinct programs on that campus. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Going back up to the top of the list, we do have some few minutes. Excuse me, I'm sorry, but hold on just a moment. Ma'am, you're out of order. Okay, now we're going to go back over the list of people that I called that did not come up in order that they submitted their speaker request slips online. Francine Maxwell, citizen. You have 2 minutes, ma'am.
So let's take you back to 2011, and the city of San Diego is building a city library. And the LA Times reports that there is a $26 million shortfall for building a city library. And the end result is the San Diego Unified School District took our bond money, $30 million that should have been spent on education, facilities, and improvements to our school sites, was spent on a 40-year lease for the 6th and 7th floor of the downtown library. 40 years. We're still paying for that. So renters and homeowners are going to be paying those property taxes for the next 40 years. And here's the thing, at the end of 40 years, we don't have anything for that $40 million. It's gone. We don't have any room in the library. We don't have improved facilities. The money's just gone. And that's wasting the taxpayer money that should have gone to educational needs instead of city needs. I'm pointing that out because it's this school board that made that decision. And you need to think about that when you've got people complaining that their school has to be split up or there isn't adequate air conditioning or that type of thing. It's the decisions that you're making. So let's remember that. In 2011, you guys approved $30 million to give to the city library so the city library could be built. And that was a misuse of that money. That is not what the taxpayers were told that that money was going to be spent on.
Dana Villanueva.
Good afternoon. Language Academy is an atypical school with 3 programs on one campus. The district must differentiate from their typical formula for our school. My name is Danya Villanueva. I'm a mother of a 3rd grade student in the Spanish program. The topic of bilingual education is a very important one for me. I'm a product of bilingual education, and I believe in it so much that for the past 10 years I've worked as an educator in bilingual programs both in Los Angeles and San Diego. As you know, the fight for bilingual education in the state of California has a long and complicated history. Fortunately, in the past decade or so, we've seen a shift of attitudes, and there's a better understanding of the benefits of bilingual education. To illustrate this point, Just recently, in May 2018, the State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tom Torlakson, announced Global California 2030, a bold initiative to vastly expand the teaching and learning of world languages and the number of students proficient in more than one language over the next 12 years. Global California 2030 is a call to action. Just like these attitudes have changed the way that these programs are treated, also you have the opportunity to be a leader in these changes while also supporting the unique needs that these programs have. How we as a district understand this and creatively make that happen will decide how many students we can retain in the public education system. Just like teachers are expected to be innovative when it comes to classroom curriculum, districts should also be innovative in how they differentiate among the diversity of schools when it comes to teacher hiring and retention, as well as budget allocations. I understand that you have formulas that you apply uniformly at schools, but what we're asking you to do is to recognize the special needs that we have as a special program that attracts hundreds of families from all over San Diego. The only way you'll be able to retain students, teachers, and families, as we don't want them going to charters, is by acknowledging what makes our program unique. Thank you.
Thank you. Khalid Tamimi. Andrew Bailey.
Hi, my name is Andrew Bailey. I got two students at Language Academy, and I'm here to mainly focus on talking about outreach and shortcomings that the administration's having with outreach. The reason that outreach is so important for a school site like ours is we're not getting enough teachers. Now, if we had more students, we'd have more teachers, but we're losing students because administrators aren't paying attention to what's going on. At the district level, I brought along this survey called the California Parent Survey version 6. I could have filed 20 of these surveys. And then the other side of that is how many people didn't even file one. So, how can we do good work if we don't have good numbers? So I would really, I assume, no offense, Mr. Beezer, that we've got a bunch of mathematicians working for the district. At least we could get like a little tiny sample. Another example of that is we had the recent enrollment surveys. You guys know about the enrollment surveys, right? Okay, so the enrollment surveys, the principal was bragging today about how we only missed only three families didn't respond to our enrollment surveys. Why aren't we looking for those 3 families? How hard can that be? They might have 10 kids each, I don't know. But the numbers make a difference. Why aren't we getting samples? I appeared before the board during a closed session a while ago. Maybe you remember that, Mr. Barrera. And that was all about outreach. They called it a survey. They had this online thing that they had people fill in, and they called it a survey of what kind of qualities they wanted the new principal to have. The problem is we've got, especially our school, we've got large amounts of people that aren't online, don't even have cell phones. So let's get some real numbers, make sure the numbers are right. Thank you.
Thank you. Khalid Tamimi, Francine Maxwell. All right. So that concludes this portion of our meeting with the non-agenda public testimony. And I'd like to exercise the ability of a trustee on the board to refer comments from non-agenda public testimony for the superintendent for follow-up and to provide the board with an update about the Language Academy's concerns. Thank you. Received? Thank you. All right. Thank you very much, Language Academy, for coming out. I really appreciate it. Good job. On to item I-1, the resolution to place a general obligation bond measure, San Diego Neighborhood School Repair and Student Safety Measure on the November 6, 2018 general election ballot. This is the second reading and requires 4 votes to be approved and put on the ballot for voters to decide. Lorraine Burley. Lorraine Burley, you have 2 minutes.
Is 9
Oh.
Academy, yours?
Is Lorraine Burley here? Nope, okay. Lorraine Burley is not here at this time. Okay, any other speakers on this agenda item? Citizen, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. So I'm looking at this request for yet another bond on our property taxes, and that's going to affect renters and it's going to affect homeowners. There is still about 18 years of money that's coming in on the existing bonds. 18 more years. And millions of dollars still coming in from the property taxes that people are paying. This is not a bond measure that should be placed on the backs of taxpayers at this time. People are already struggling in a market with very high rentals, very difficult to get into homes, and what the district is proposing is adding hundreds of dollars to the property taxes. Now, you guys say $6 for every $100, but when people add it up, it's hundreds of dollars over decades that people are going to have to pay. This is not the time to do it. You still have millions and millions of dollars under Prop S and Prop Z. Promises were made there, and those millions of dollars that are coming in for the next 18 years need to be spent, and spent wisely before you put another tax on the backs of the taxpayers on the November ballot.
Thank you. William Smith, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much for your time. My name is William Smith. I'm a resident of the University Heights area. I spoke at the last reading of this agenda item. I did want to just restate the support that the school district will likely experience from the University Heights community if indeed it is able to continue meeting its obligation to residents to do a good job in developing this particular property, the Ed Center. I think it's money well spent. Certainly, you will find that you'll get a great deal of support if you preserve historic buildings and increase the available green space. But more than anything else, I would like to see this property improved. I'm new to the area. I was shocked by the state of the property. It just does nothing for the community or for the city. This is one of the most important pieces of property in the western United States, and I think it should be treated as such. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mike Magallanes, you have 2 minutes.
My name is Mike Magallanes, and I used to be on the ICOC for Prop S and Z for a couple of years. And we get reports on the ongoing jobs, the upcoming jobs, and the maintenance of the schools. And unless you really see the numbers, you don't realize how much money it costs to maintain these old schools. And the longer you put it off, the more it's going to cost in the future. It's nothing, I mean, you're talking a lot of money right now with a bond, but it's a big school district, and you're going to need the money. So I would encourage the board to move forward on this and pass that bond. Thank you.
Thank you. Tommy Howe, you have 2 minutes, sir.
Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Tommy Howe. I just wanted to echo the interests of my neighbors in Claremont and Mira Mesa and Kearney Mesa and Miramar and Sorrento Valley in seeing that the resolution to place a general obligation bond measure on the November 6th general election ballot be adopted. We have a quality public school system here at San Diego Unified with outstanding, innovative, clearly dedicated, clearly caring teaching professionals, and a district that has made many social and environmental strides far ahead of the curve of our neighbors around the state and the nation. Nevertheless, challenges always present themselves ourselves, and 40 years on, we are still living under the shadow of Prop 13. Many of our school buildings are aged and in need of 21st century renovation to educate our current and next generation of San Diegans. From our schools in Claremont, which are 60-plus years old, to our schools in Mira Mesa, built in the 70s during what was then called the energy crisis, but in some cases without the windows so many of us take for granted in our homes and workplaces, a thorough and full structural and electrical renovation of our school buildings is just what the doctor ordered and will ensure a source of quality building and construction jobs for our neighbors. Please note mine and my neighbors' support for this bond measure and the appropriate application of funds to successfully implement this opportunity to fully and safely update our school facilities. Thank you for your time this evening.
Manny Vasquez. You have 2 minutes.
Good evening. I just wanted to speak on behalf of the community on the bond measure that we want to put forward in November. I'm a parent and also a union member of the United Association Plumbers and Pipe Fitters. I have kids in school, and I see some of the classrooms and the school campuses that need improvement. And I would just like to see some of this bond money go towards improving these schools, getting the lead out of the pipes, improving everything, for a better environment for these kids, and also putting, local people to work. It's just good all around, and something that I think the community would like to see happen. So, thank you.
Thank you. Carol Kim.
Good evening, board members. Good evening, staff. I just wanted to, my name is Carol Kim. I am a parent of 2 children who live and go to school in this district. One of them goes to Mount Everest Academy. The other one goes to Spreckles Elementary. And as a parent, I am very concerned about when we started hearing the news regarding lead in the water pipes. My daughter is a very active child. She talks to me all the time about, when they get to drink water and the water fountains, etc., and whether or not they don't get to drink water because their teacher won't let them. This is a major complaint that we hear sometimes too. But we know that lead is as you know, it's a real danger to developing brains, especially in our children. We should not be exposing them if at all possible. And just having really good, healthy, and well-maintained learning environments. As a former teacher myself, I know how important those things are. So as somebody also who works and advocates for our local workers in construction, I think it's also a really important way to be able to provide another pipeline for careers. And it's just a win-win all around. So I'm here in strong support of the bond. I'm looking forward to helping pass it. I know that my fellow parents are also supportive of this, and we will be working hard to make sure that these things move forward, because our teachers deserve it, our children deserve it, and our communities deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom Lemon.
It's always so much fun to be here, guys, especially for $3.5 billion worth of construction work. I want to first start out by thanking you, President Beiser and Richard, for last meeting's comments. Literally, you guys nailed why this is so important for the community and what the relationship that the building and construction trades have with the district and the importance of it. You actually understand it, and I love that fact. I had the chance to spend some time this morning with your maintenance director, Dolgoroff, and I loved what you had to say today. I mean, people are skeptical every time we talk about spending more money on schools. I get it. But you know what? It's just like a house. And maintenance needs to be had. My house needs, some fresh paint and a new fixture or two. So these things happen, and we got to keep moving forward. It's really about the safety of the kids. It's really about a great environment to learn in, and you guys are bold. You're bold. You move this thing forward. You've got partners. with the San Diego County Building Construction Trades and all its affiliated members. Everybody stand up as a building trade. These are the guys. Got the carpenters, got the IBEW, got the plumbers and pipe fitters, got the sheet metal workers. Did I miss anybody? I got the carpenters. The first ones I said, Doug. Iron workers. Anybody else? I got the pipe fitters. That's it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Any other speakers on this item? Dustin Pecor. Dustin Pecor, please come and speak. You have 2 minutes. Apologize if I mispronounced your last name.
No, you did a fantastic job. Just want to say thanks to you guys for being here today. Thanks for letting us come out and we're definitely all out supporting this bill. Excited for it and just much appreciated. Thanks, guys. Kids safe.
Thank you. That concludes public testimony on this agenda item. At this time, we did receive a presentation from staff at the last board meeting, which was the first reading, but I believe maybe there's additional comments or maybe we had some questions at the last board meeting that maybe you have to present at this point in time. So I'd like to turn it over to Superintendent Cindy Martin for staff presentation. Then we'll go to board member comments and questions.
Thank you. President Advisor, I'll just move the item to...
We have a motion. I'll second it. Okay, motion's on the floor. Go ahead.
Thank you, President Advisor. As you said, this is a second read. We had a full presentation at the first read, but I brought staff back up, and I also brought Captain Florentino to speak about the safety aspects of this bond, and I think you might, I don't know if Mr. Dolgaroff, you want to introduce and let Captain Florentino continue?
Thank you, Superintendent Martin, Board President, Advisor, members of the board. We have Captain Joey Florentino here. Who's going to kind of lead off the presentation and kind of set the table, because a lot of this the focus of this is about student safety and security. So,
thank you. I'm here on behalf of Chief Marquez, who is on vacation, enjoying some time with his family. He sends his regards. School Police was proud to be part of this effort. It's definitely it's a well put together bond measure from a safety and security standpoint. And we, as the name indicates, just it has safety in its name. And so safety begins with the physical outline of our schools. And this bond directly addresses things such as fencing, improved lighting, addressing our antiquated security system as far as closed-circuit TV systems. Some of our closed-circuit TV cameras were installed in the mid-'90s, and so you can see that, and not all of our schools have security cameras. So in a day and age of technology where a lot of people are putting them around their house, it only makes sense that we would ensure that our schools had the same level of protection. Emergency communications is also addressed in this bond measure, and I was very surprised when I came to the district 18 years ago that not all of our schools had PA systems, not all of our schools have bell systems, and so our staff does a great job of improvising signal devices, but we know during a critical incident, communication is key, and so this addresses those. It also addresses innovative ways of two-way communications in the classrooms when telephones go down, because now they're all web-based, and so when we lose power during a critical incident, we've got to be able to communicate with our classrooms, both in and out, getting information both ways. Electronically controlled access, when you talk about truly securing a facility, we're using keys, and not only when keys do get lost do we have to rekey schools, which is a great expense, but as far as tracking staff, being able to truly account for who is on our campuses, being able to do that with electronically controlled access is key. Another thing that's really important in this bond measure is the upgrade of our alarm system. We say at School Police that our number one job is obviously protecting our kids and protecting our staff and people, but a close second to that is protecting our district assets. There's billions of dollars worth of assets in the structures and in our schools themselves, and parents expect that when their child comes to school on Monday morning, that classroom is going to be ready for instruction. And so with improving our antiquated alarm system, it's really going to help us. I won't get into all the details, but it's truly going to help that school police dispatcher using the cameras, using the new alarm system to truly authenticate those alarms and get officers on scene faster to protect those assets. And we've already heard a little bit about seismic retrofitting and just the structural safety measures that are addressed in the bond measure, the plumbing issues. If you've ever been on on a campus when you've had a backed up toilet, when you look at the communicable diseases and things like that. So it's not just from a police standpoint, but we at school police, try to protect all of our kids from any hazard. And so when I looked at the bond measure, it truly, we were part of the discussion, it's truly refreshing to see that so many different threats to our kids are being addressed, and I think that's what makes it a really quality document. And I found it also, just a side note to people who are considering the bond measure, I found it actually very easy to read in the final format. It really addresses each individual site. I found it to be very transparent, and so with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Dolgaroff and available for any questions if you might have them later.
Thank you.
Thanks, Captain Florentino. I have an abbreviated version of the discussion we had last week or 2 weeks ago, and I can quickly kind of go through kind of a quick summary of some of the highlights of the measure. This measure, in addition to addressing safety and security, also provides funds necessary to develop the teaching and learning environments that better support student and teachers, including learning spaces that support the concept of inquiry-based learning and project-based learning. And these are really important changes that have occurred over the last few years, and we really want to provide spaces that actually support the pedagogy that we're moving. And we've done some amazing things with academics in this district, and we really need to provide the teaching and learning spaces to support those academic improvements, in addition to vocational spaces and college and career technical education spaces, which we'll probably hear a little bit more about tonight. There are some significant consequences to inaction. While the measure has a cost, the cost of inaction is larger, much larger. Without the measure, the funding for school repairs will not keep up with the wear and tear that daily occurs in our schools. Our kids love our schools, and they also they work and wear in our schools, and they learn in our schools. Also, current funding that's needed to sustain our classroom technology systems is insufficient. Technology devices and systems that the teachers and students use every day will become obsolete without this measure. We also, without this measure, would lack the resources to meet our climate action goals, and that would result in higher utility bills. Captain Florentino mentioned safety and security. The average age of our buildings is 48 years, and we have a lot of old plumbing in those 48-year-old buildings. We used to look at replacing systems to prevent leaks or when they started to leak, or prevent leaks and water damage. But recently we found out how older pipes with lead solder impacted the quality of our drinking water and how important that was. And this measure actually provides the resources needed to replace all the older plumbing systems and drinking fountains. This is kind of a complicated graph, but it really illustrates a lot. It illustrates how our current bond funds are insufficient. If you look at the current rate of wear and tear on our 15 million square feet of buildings in San Diego Unified, it's about $119 million a year. And the curved black line that you see that's kind of horizontally running across the graph, that indicates the annual rate of wear and tear on our facilities over time adjusted for inflation. Each of those vertical bars represents the funding that we've allocated or plan to allocate to offset the wear and tear every year. And right now, you can see, looking at 2015, 16, 17, we're funding above the line. So that means that we're replacing and renovating buildings faster than they're wearing out. But and this is causing the overall condition of our facilities to improve. But if you look at the colors on those bars, those purple colors at the top, in those outer years, that represents this bond and the future needs. So in order to sustain that funding above the line, we need this bond measure. Without the funding, we will begin to enter a phase where our funding does not keep up with the rate of decay, and therefore those funds are insufficient. Overall, school facility teaching and learning environment improves school climate. We need the San Diego Neighborhood School Repair and Student Safety Measure to keep our commitments we've made together with our community, including creating a positive climate for our students and meaningful graduations, also the cleanest drinking water in the nation, and being carbon neutral. So this measure really provides the resources we need to create the learning environment that's worthy of our students.
Thank you. At this point in time, let's go to board member comments or questions. Dr. Evans, do you have any comments or questions on the bond?
Yes. I kind of, as I see the crowd here, I kind of recall in 2009
That's right.
noticing that there was it was a predominantly male audience at a school board meeting, which is rather unusual. So welcome to all of you here. You know, when we passed the bond measures, I remember before I was on the board, there was Proposition MM, and then we had Proposition S and Proposition Z, and people would often say, well, why are you having another bond measure? You just got a whole bunch of money. But the whole point was it was never possible to ask at one time for all of the money after a few decades of neglect to really fund what we needed to do for our schools. And then there was also the concern that was brought up about working with unions. Now, obviously, our primary goal is to provide quality facilities for our students, but we also want to be responsible stewards in the community. And there were all kinds of things thrown out about how this was going to cost us more money and so forth, which was certainly very disproven over time. And one of the benefits has been that we've really been able to hire local workers. The people who are paying into this bond are benefiting from the jobs, and it's benefiting our entire community. In fact, we wouldn't have had if we had a different arrangement. So obviously right now, the question that the public and everybody else will ask, well, do we really need, it's been successful so far, do we really need additional billions of dollars? And as I recall, last time it was, I thought the vote was 3-2 in terms of passing the bond measure, although I see on here that today it requires 4 votes. And since we have one board member absent, this is going to be a real cliffhanger.
Dr. Whitehurst-Payne.
I'd like to say thank you for that presentation on safety from Captain. Right? Thank you for that. I think it answered some of my questions about ways that we would be spending it to upgrade the technology at schools, etc. It is kind of amazing that some of our schools don't have cameras. When, you know, now everybody knows that when there's a crime committed, you just walk down the street and find the cameras, and if we don't have cameras, that's a problem. So obviously we're a little behind, and that's a necessary thing for us. In terms of the facilities, yes, we all know that schools with all the wear and tear, they definitely need an ongoing support from just normal maintenance. If you've ever tried to keep your house up, or houses or whatever up, it is an ongoing need, and I support that totally. And I'd like to say to the University Heights community that when I first came to San Diego back in and we won't talk about when, but I wound up staying down the street at 4430 Campus Avenue for a couple of years and considered myself to be a part of this community. But coming from across country and coming here to this facility, I always wondered why a city like San Diego didn't have a facility that would represent this city well, and hopefully we can take care of that and address some of the concerns. So you have my support.
Thank you. Trustee Richard Barrera.
Yeah, again, I just, you know, what I'm encouraged by and inspired by, frankly, is that this is not a measure that the school board is placing on the ballot. This is a measure that our entire community is coming together and rallying around, whether it's our educators, you know, in the classroom in our district, whether it's our parents, whether it's our construction workers, whether it's the business community. This is San Diego at its finest, when we can actually come together and say, all of us, by making some sacrifice, can do right by our kids and can leave that legacy. And the thing that we can be most proud of in this city is that we have a world-class public school system that our kids are going to grow up in and do great things through. So again, it's just a point of pride to be part of this community at this time in our city's history, when we continue to go forward and say we're going to do right by our kids, even when it requires some sacrifice on our part. I also have to say I really appreciate, Captain Florentino, what you had to say to us tonight, and Lee as well. As we know, when we passed Prop S in 2008, and then when we passed Prop Z in 2012, there was a conversation that has become ever present today that we didn't have to have then. And I think Sandy Hook is really, the moment that conversation changed, because I think every one of us on the board, and certainly the superintendent, is familiar with, when we go and talk to parents at a school, the first question is, are our kids safe? And we live in a world today where we have to do everything we can to answer that question yes, as best we can. And whether that means we're securing the school, as Captain Florentino has talked about, whether that means that we set the absolute highest standards for drinking water, as Carol and other parents have talked about, we have to answer that question yes. And I think when we see our community coming together tonight, we appreciate again the University Heights community and your support. I'm just very encouraged that not only are we going to go forward, we're going to pass this bond in November, but we're going to continue to do great things for our kids. We're going to keep them safe. We're going to keep them secure, but more importantly, we're going to allow them to thrive so that they can create a San Diego so much better than anything that we can imagine today. So let's do it.
I'm going to just articulate why I'm fighting for 5. This is the fight for 5. 5 critical things that I believe our kids and our community needs. 1, this bond means that we will have 100% net zero green environment by 2030. That's how we get to 0 carbon emissions by 2030, is this bond. By expanding solar and investing these resources into conservation and reducing consumption. 2, clean water, getting the lead out. Now, I know a lot of people say that San Diego Unified Schools have already tested and our schools are below 15 parts per billion, which is the EPA's guideline of acceptable amounts of lead in the water. But this board has voted unanimously last year that we want to have a much higher standard for our kids. We don't want 15 parts per billion. We want no lead at all in the water. This bond gets us there. 3, safety, as Captain Florentino pointed out so eloquently. This is the first bond since Sandy Hook, since Parkland. This bond is our response to the concerns of making our schools even more safe than we possibly can. In addition to this bond helping to improve the safety of our schools, I also strongly support consideration over the summer for adding 2 more school police officers and 1 more school detective to next year's force to ensure that we are not only supporting the bond for safer schools, but we're staffing our school police officer department for safer schools. Number 4, I support this bond because it is a project stabilization agreement. What does that mean? A lot of people aren't really sure what that means. We're going to be taking San Diego bond money and using it to hire San Diego families. As we heard tonight from several speakers that actually have children in our schools, they're also construction workers that deserve livable wages with benefits so that when them or their family members are sick, they can go see a doctor. The people that are remodeling, repairing, and building our schools also need to know that in their senior years they can retire with dignity. And the 5th reason is because this is the first bond we have had since the Google Classroom was created. We've got to keep up with technology because the technological divide for our children is the challenge of our generation, so that all of our children that graduate from our school district have the technological literacy to succeed in a career, college, or trade of their choosing. So that's why I'm fighting for 5. Bottom line is that I strongly believe that we San Diegans will come together to continue to support our public schools. And for those naysayers out there, we have a proven track record of being very fiscally responsible. We have received external audit every year, giving us an A+ for the last 8 years I've been on the board. We have received an A in the annual grading of our bond transparency and program administration by the San Diego County Taxpayers Association. And finally, we have the highest bond rating in the state of California. Our credit rating is a AAA from Finch. So when we go and we get bonds from New York bond markets, we get very low rates. It's been projected that over the life of some of our bonds, we'll be saving taxpayers over $170 million in interest alone. That's another $170 million we can put in our schools for the kids. So for all of these reasons, I hope that you and all of your friends and neighbors will support this bond and continue to invest in San Diego schools. Please vote. And that passes 4-0. We'll take a brief 3-minute recess before we move on to the next agenda item. Item E, this is the board of, the report of closed session actions and superintendent board and reports. E1, report on closed session. Are there any items to report?
There are not.
There are none. Administrative assignments, Superintendent Martin, are there any administrative assignments to report out?
Thank you, President Beiser. There are 4. Human Resources Officer Aurelia Lita Boras, Director of Human Resources Melissa Lucio, Principal at Sandburg Elementary Erica Simmons, and Executive Director of Special Education Sarah Ott.
Thank you. Superintendent information report. Superintendent Martin, please provide your information report.
Thank you again. As you know, we still have a few year-round schools that are still in session.
Like the Language Academy?
Through next week, so it's a little bit premature to talk about the end of the 17-18 school year, but as it approaches, I'd just like to share a few thoughts on some of our big accomplishments that we've had so far together this year. So first of all, as a former literacy teacher and someone who believes deeply in the power of reading and literacy, we should all be encouraged by the results our students achieved on the National Assessment of Educational Progress, the nation's report card. As you know, San Diego Unified was the only large urban district in the nation that was able to register significant test score increases as it was compared across the nation. There are obviously many facts that go into an achievement like this, but I believe the emphasis that we've put on literacy across the system is a major contributor to that type of outcome. I believe it offers significant promise for the future of our students and the city. The most fundamental commitment that we've made as a school system is to boost the academic success of our students, and so I think it's important that we highlight what this progress means. It means that as a district, we keep our commitments. We say we believe in student voice, and we keep that commitment by supporting students who wanted to speak out after Parkland, as an example. We say we want to raise global citizens, and we keep that commitment by working with students to fundraise for the victims of the heartbreaking earthquakes in Mexico. We say we support the rights of all students to learn, and we keep that commitment by standing up for the rights of immigrant students on our campuses. So as we prepare for the final board meeting of the school year, which is in just 2 weeks, now it's the time to remember the big commitments that we've made to our community. Things like being carbon neutral by 2035, things like having every child reading at grade level by 3rd grade. Now is the time to remember these and so many more commitments that we make and continue to redouble our efforts and our commitment to keep them. Thank you.
Board information reports. Any board member wish to report out?
Just a couple.
Dr. Whitehurst-Payne.
Just would like to acknowledge and offer my congratulations to the Lincoln High School community, faculty, staff, students, most of all, for them receiving a 6-year accreditation approval from WASC. Right. And it's really exciting. I'm looking forward for a lot of movement there and motion forward. I'm just really excited and happy and want to offer my congratulations, and I'm sure that there will be some press around that issue later, but I want to say thank you to them for all of their hard work. It was hard, but they won it, and thank you to the superintendent and chief of staff and the area superintendent for all the support you offered them as a part of that process. And then I also just want to comment on Rosa Parks School. I had the opportunity to go to their graduation exercise where their students were being promoted. They're now bilingual. And I want to commend the parents and their committee for working together so that the principal and staff members were guests at the school as they conducted their graduation ceremony. So congratulations to them also. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Evans?
Yes. I'll just say a preview. I'm working on a report. I just took this document we made several years ago about things we said we would do, and as we start to move forward, I think it's a good idea to really look at it. And it's actually very amazing to me when I start looking at all the things that we said we would do in terms of having students learn languages, about having all students ready and prepared, having the choice of going to college, about our schools being safe, attractive neighborhood centers, and on and on and on. So I think it's important to recognize that. And also what I will have in September is editing down an hour-and-a-half interview interview with the students at San Diego High School to kind of show who they are now. They just finished their sophomore year, so we're going to see what they're like. And then also, at another point, another tape from the Spreckles students who we taped for the K-3 literacy program to have all students literate and also in numeracy by 2020. And so we taped them in kindergarten and now in first grade, and we'll see them over the next 2 years. So that's to happen in September.
Thank you. I don't really have anything big to report out other than just, some information that I received that I thought was phenomenal. At Lincoln High School, this year's graduating class, 88% of the graduates at Lincoln High School are going to college. Let me say that one more time because we don't have any news cameras here. Just let me say it again. Let it sink in. 88% of the graduates this year at Lincoln High School are going to college next year. Now, there's another percent, 2% are going to the military. So I consider that 90% are moving on to higher education or the military, and that's really important. And then the other 10%, we're not exactly sure in terms of tracking if some of those kids are going to go to trade school or join the workforce or take a year off and then go to community college. But this is phenomenal results from Lincoln High School. 88% are going to college next year. Wow. So that's my report. We're going to go ahead and move on to student instructional matters. This is item F1. This is the public hearing and first reading of the 2018-19 College and Career Access Pathways, CCAP, partnership agreement with the San Diego Community College District for college courses offered on high school campuses. Superintendent Martin, please present the item.
Thank you, President Beiser. This is the third year, as you said, of the CCAP agreements under AB 288. The intent of AB 288, when it was passed, was to offer or expand the dual enrollment opportunities for students who may not already be college-bound or who are unrepresented in higher education. When AB 288 was passed, it was supported by the Community College Board of Trustees and this Board of Education. We were watching that carefully and supporting it. So we reported at the April joint board meeting specifically on this. We had a 55% increase in the number of students that were concurrently enrolled from 16-17 to 17-18. We had an 88% increase in all concurrent head counts since 2015-16 and 175% increase in high school students that were enrolled in community college classes on San Diego Unified's high school campuses between 15-16 to 17-18 due to this CCAP partnership that we're bringing forward tonight.
Thank you. This is an information item. Any board member comments or questions?
I just want to congratulate the superintendent and our entire district for those numbers. We talked a few years ago at our joint board meeting about with the community college district about the success that we were seeing with our students who had had the opportunity to dual enroll in a community college course, and we encouraged the superintendent and the chancellor at that time to expand the number of students that were experiencing dual enrollment. And those numbers that the superintendent just talked through are really, really outstanding. So again, congratulations on that achievement.
Thank you. Seeing no other comments or questions, we go to public testimony. Do we have any public speakers on F1? We do not. Okay, on to item G. This is the board consent agenda. Do I have a motion? Is there a second? Please vote. That passes 4-0. On to section H, operational matters reserved for the board. First item for consideration is item H3. This is the Career Technical Education Advisory Committee, or CTEAC, annual update to the board. Please remember that you have up to 10 minutes to present your report. Terry McKerney, Chair of the CTEAC.
All right, I'm going to drive here.
You have 10 minutes, sir, to present your report.
Well, thank you, President Beiser, Superintendent Martin, and members of the board. I don't know where all the people went. I thought they were here to hear. I'm here today with Al Love, by the way, the AXA Administrator of the Year for Career Technical Education in the state. So that means I'm going to say what he told me to say, except for the things that I don't. Again, I'm Terry McKerney. It's good to be back here. Just as a reminder, I'm as chair of the CTAC. I'm a member of the business committee. I'm a small businessman in the defense industry. We do operations analysis for Navy projects. What that means is I'm not an educator, and we'll talk about the composition of the CTAC. But what I want to start out by emphasizing is that the role of the CTAC is to bring an outside view into what we're doing here with career college technical education in the district. Must not have the right button there. Okay. I did say I did technical. Right? Okay, there we go. Okay. There we go. Okay, so a reminder, just an overview, the role of the CTAC is to provide a liaison between the district, the business community, the people who are going to be the users of your product, the students who graduate. And then as part of that, we develop recommendations for the running of the CTAC. The picture here illustrates another successful relationship between the district, community, and business. Mayor Faulkner provided a keynote address to over 400 high school students enrolled in our hospitality coursework at the January Hospitality Conference. And he emphasized that entry-level employment in this sector develops workplace and customer service, and it's important to the region, even though the Regional Workforce Partnership has not designated hospitality as one of its high-priority sectors, which we will talk a little bit about in a few minutes. The demand in that sector still remains high, and the mayor pointed out that hospitality jobs are growing across the entire county, particularly along the coast. This is the makeup of our CTAC. Look back at the previous slide. Jan Borkum, the lady there, is from the California Restaurant Association, and she's coordinated that hospitality conference, and she is very, very involved with the CTAC programs, the culinary programs, but a very active member of our CTAC as well. You can see that kind of support is what we want the CTAC to provide. I'd make a quick observation. The representation on the CTAC includes both labor and management, if you want to look at it in that sense. So again, in addition to the educators, the students on the CTAC, we have a broad representation of the community. In San Diego Unified, as you well know, we cover 12 of the 15 industry sectors that the California Department of Education recognizes. And you can see here that we're happy to see that we are really working and emphasizing in red those particular sectors that are important to the local economy, again, as defined by the Workforce Partnership and by our own CTAC members. These high-priority jobs are high-paying, and they're the things that we want to put our students into when they leave the school and the workforce. Some of the things the CTAC does, we review and approve grant applications and capital expenditures. We take that business very, very seriously as the community representative. We also make recommendations to improving and modernizing. So the two things that you'll see on the next couple of slides here, Prop 51 CT facilities for Mira Mesa and Crawford's Auto Tech programs. In addition, the CTE office was awarded 3 additional facility improvement grants for UC High and Shell Development, Kearney DMD for multimedia production, and Madison High Culinary Arts. And as you know, you might know, Madison recently won a statewide award for their culinary effort. In that particular competition, they had to cook on Bunsen burners without electricity. Now, that's not why we need to modernize the facilities at Madison, but think how much better they will be able to do. One of the things that we're very proud of is the number of partnerships that we have with local industries and local groups. As CTAC members, we provide support to these events such as competition, First Robotics, the Teen Iron Chef, and the hospitality conference that I mentioned already with the mayor's attendance. The CTAC members from the health science industry participated in several STEAM-related industrial events, and Raytheon provided 5 internship opportunities for engineering students from 3 different high schools. But I will tell you that as important as we feel this role is, we need more industry. We need more people participating with our programs, not just on the CTAC, but overall with the events that our CTE programs undertake in the classroom. So this information comes from the San Diego Workforce Partnership's Labor Force and Employment Data Report. What it tells is where the current workforce and labor needs are in the San Diego region. This is guiding CCTE development in San Diego Unified. The San Diego Imperial Center of Excellence for Labor Market Research finds that middle school jobs, which require more training than a high school diploma but less than a 4-year degree, comprise a significant and growing portion of San Diego's labor market. These are the jobs that employers are struggling to fill. In San Diego County, workers in the 100 top middle school jobs earn a median hourly wage of $26.70 compared to a median hour wage of $19.30 across the county. So you can see that the importance of trying to fill these jobs is something we're concerned about within the CCTE effort. One of the things that's important to realize is our relationship with the community colleges is important because we get the kids through our colleges. Those other 2 years of education they need for these middle jobs, they come from the community colleges, and our relationship with the community college is particularly important. It is also important that we're starting more of the kids along these pathways down in middle school. So taking a look at where the enrollment we have currently in CCTE, which composes 22,385 students now, shown on the chart here, looking at those sectors. The ones highlighted make up those 3 sectors that we talked about a minute ago as being priority for San Diego. And 47% of the students enrolled, 47% of the students enrolled in CCT programs in the district are in one of those programs. This is an increase of almost 1,800 students from the past. For every high school, we have at least 2 pathways in this high priority sectors on campus. Additionally, our enrollment in CCTE is up approximately 3,000 students from last year, and this is thanks to the middle school, and we're going to talk about the middle school in a minute. So one of the things that's important is taking a look at how we are doing and getting kids into the CCTE programs. And some of the things that you see there are things that we have talked about before, getting counselors on board, as well as getting the number of CCTE programs down at the middle school. We believe that our current strategies has led to increased enrollment in most of the pathways, particularly in those high priority sectors again. We've observed that our high school and middle school counselors are better prepared to provide guidance about career pathways as a result of counselor conferences. And this is one of the things that Al has been particularly proactive with, and that is getting the counselors on board. We're also in the process of trying to encourage our middle school principals to offer CCTE programs. So taking a look at middle schools, kind of the hallmark of the middle school programs in CCTE are the middle school maker spaces, and I think most of you have probably seen the maker spaces at one form or another. They're contributing to our CCTE programs. Thing I would like to point out about the maker spaces, and I'm going to speak more as a member of the public. I go see the maker spaces and they're fun, and the kids go in, they have a good time. What's really important to me is when you start looking at the numbers, we realize that the use of these spaces in those middle schools is by qualified teachers that is part of the program. So again, you're seeing about 1/5 of the students in a middle school being able to get into a pathway that they then continue on through high school. And the important thing is later on, again, to have that go all the way through the community college level. So taking a look at the middle schools, just to give a little bit of broader definition, the distribution of our CCT middle school programs indicate that students from all part of the districts have access to these quality STEAM programs. We're excited about the partnership you see with the Lego Education, but if you add up the numbers there, you see we'll have 17 new spaces programs at the end of the year. We work with Project Lead the Way on these as well. So these are quality programs that, again, feed into our career technical education at the high school level. Turning to work-based learning, one of our initiatives has been to get industry involved and get students into the work environment as part of their training. And you can see we've made pretty good gains in a couple of very key areas. Guest speakers you'll see, and I'm particularly pleased about the internships. CCTE is very interested in increasing these work-based learning opportunities in all the industry sectors, again, particularly in the high priority sectors. Can I get a few more minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Again, major goal of the CTAC is to have these partnerships and to get these partnerships going. Last year, we talked about several goals. Let's just quickly look at the progress toward these goals. Facility improvement, we approved 10 CTE facilities, Prop 51 grants, and we've recommended another 15 for the next issue of Prop 51. From the CTAC's perspective, the district is doing a phenomenal job in constructing and modernizing these facilities. We're encouraged to see significant gains toward articulated credit, as I've pointed out, relative to passing students from our programs into the local community colleges. However, we see efficiency challenges still in awarding credit in a timely fashion due to the document processing and approval. Part of the strong workforce program apportionment to garner input from stakeholders such as the CTAC in order to inform and align programs with regional labor force needs. This collaboration with K-12 colleges and industry will help increase the number of students and pathways that lead to high-wage, high-demanding jobs. This partnership is very important. Al and I have talked about our need to be involved in this as it forms up along regional lines. So here are our current recommendations. Al's making me say this. From our perspective, small improvements such as updating electrical and engineering classrooms or installing appliances for technical theater takes longer as reasonable. That's an internal district thing. Need a little better support in that. And again, Al made me say that, but one thing I want to point out is all the CCTE programs. You see us talked about building a lot of things, but CCTE programs are very infrastructure intensive. Yes. And we need support in getting that infrastructure maintained. We need to be a little more creative in how we get our new CCE teachers. That seems to me, and I'll let Al speak for himself, but when I talk to him, that seems to be one of his concerns, is having qualified CCTE teachers. And you can't go out and hire, you have to find these people coming in from industry. We need to do a little better job or use some new approaches to recruiting industry people who want to come into the classroom, because that's frankly the backbone of the instruction that's given in the CCTE programs. So with that, any questions you ask me, if they're tough, I'll duck and let Al. But we appreciate the chance to come and speak to you. Again, we're CTE largely members of the community coming in very excited about the kind of preparation we're giving our kids to come and join the workforce that we desperately need as members of industry. As I said here before, come to the May open house, what do we call it, our showcase event. I mean, you can not only feel the enthusiasm, you see the skill that these kids are developing in their CCT programs. It's just tremendous. And again, as a potential hirer of these kids, I'm just thrilled to be involved and see what we're doing here in the classroom.
Great. Thank you very much, Terry McKerney. I appreciate your service as chair of the committee, and thank you very much for your report. Please stick around in case there are questions from the board. But at this time, do we have any speakers on item H3? All right, seeing no public speakers, Dr. Whiters-Payne.
I just want to offer my gratitude for all the work that your committee does. One of the things that impresses me so much about San Diego is the fact that we know that we have the support. When we talk about VAPA, Visual and Performing Arts, we have that entire community undergirding us and supporting us. When we talk about STEM, we have folks from throughout the community, and I believe at the all-day workshop, we had so many folks there from the STEM community. And when we talk about CTE, to have you come, and I know that there's an infrastructure that you're representing here tonight, I really want to say thank you to you and to the San Diego community, because I feel that you are not leaving it to us to just hang out here by ourselves and try to figure out what to do in terms of your fields. You are the experts, and you come to us and offer support. And the children are the beneficiaries of that, and it will make San Diego City and citizens of the world from this community better. And I just want to offer my sincere, heartfelt gratitude.
Thank you, Doctor. Again, I'm very pleased that we have the sort of representation of the community and future employers on the CTAC and the effort we put through. It's a very diverse group in terms of industry and again, representing labor, representing management. You said the magic word VAPA, and interestingly enough, Al and I were talking about that in the passageway. We personally feel that more of the VAPA ought to be included within the CCTE umbrella. I mean, that is a career pathway. It's very important in San Diego. I mean, if you're, my wife and I are subscribers at the La Jolla Playhouse. It's an engine of employment. You look at the kids that are employed here in those kind of endeavors. That may be something that we ought to include too. Another thing I kind of skipped over, but I'm going to mention too, is Al's office. And several years ago, you walked into Al's office, it was full of resource specialists. And that's dwindled, and he probably needs some help. Things are growing there, and in addition to the infrastructure needs for these sort of programs, there's also the needs to do support for the individual students and things like the work-based learning we talked about, and internships. I will speak to you as a small business person. I'd love to help out. I'd love to do job shadowing. I'd love to have interns. I don't have the overhead to do that. I mentioned Raytheon, very good partner. Raytheon's a big company and can afford to do that, and they can do 5 internships. If we could help other companies with some help at the CTE office to kind of take care of the administrative things that go along with providing internships and job shadowing, the paperwork that needs to be filed, the security things that need to be done, you could get more out of industry. But small industries, particularly, which are 60% of San Diego's workforce, we don't have the cycles to help do those kind of things in terms of internships, job shadowings, bringing kids into the office or into the factory floor. Could use some help doing that, and if we could rebuild his staff a bit, it would help him be able to do those things.
Any other board member comments? Dr. Evans?
Yeah, I want to thank you, too, for the work that you're doing, and it's really in line with our whole plan of having graduation be meaningful, and it also fits into our emphasis on children graduating with options as opposed to the old college versus vocational track, and you've kind of highlighted that all the ones that are in between that in terms of a high school diploma and a 4-year college degree and everything that's in there. And then the fact, I'm just very impressed with the collaboration with local industry and really looking at what are the jobs that are available in San Diego. I mean, it's a travesty that, for example, in Torrey Pines area of La Jolla, that all kinds of people are brought in from other countries for the biotech industry because we haven't adequately prepared them here, and lots of other examples. And I know that the jobs are constantly changing, and our students are going to have jobs that we don't even know what they are yet, but I think the point is to prepare them for whatever jobs we currently see, and by learning that, they're going to develop the skills to kind of move on for that. So this is very, very impressive.
I think we are doing better in the health sciences, and that's the career pathway into the biotech. We brought a person for biocom onto the CTAC, so we're interested in
Thank you.
Trustee Barrera?
Thanks, President Beiser. Yeah, I just want to reiterate our gratitude for the work that you and the committee have done, and especially just recognize and congratulate Al Love. That's a fantastic honor, but I know you're not in it for the honor. I know you're in it for the kids and for the work, and but it does our district proud, and thank you for that tremendous work, Al. And there were 2 points that you made, Terry, that I was especially happy to see. We had talked a couple years ago about trying to prioritize the partnerships in the industries where we see the high wage job growth, and it sounds like we're up to 47% of our students at 1,800.
Yeah, and those key sectors. And
yes.
those, again, there's the three particular sectors that are that we're talking about there that we mentioned.
So we appreciate that, and we just encourage you to continue to open up those opportunities.
I would, the culinary programs have a lot of visibility. They're very easy. They're very friendly. Channel 10 always shows up for them. But you got to realize that there are so many other programs under the CCT umbrella that are really filling needs that the community will have down the road, and they don't quite get that visibility. But overall, 80% of the kids in high school in San Diego will take a CCTE course. The numbers break down to the ones that stay with it. But the programs are popular, and they're popular across all the populations, and even the kids that only do one course or so get something out of it in terms of discipline.
Well, and also very excited to hear about the emphasis of taking it down to the middle schools, which is, it just seems that opens up life opportunities, for students who might not be aware of, what an industry is, what kind of work it is. And it's really, we talk a lot about social capital, and if you grow up in a family where you have people working in an industry, that's one form of social capital, because you're going to have a natural advantage in knowing what that industry is about and how you sort of navigate your way into that. But if you don't, and if you don't know anybody, that's in that industry, that's where the school system has to come in and really provide that social capital. And so, part of, I think, overcoming inequality and eliminating the achievement gap is the role that we play in opening up relationships for young people who otherwise, wouldn't have access into these important industries. And I know that's the work that you're doing as well. And part of that, is also encouraging to see that growth in the internships.
Yes.
My son, my older son, went to the Met. And all 4 years he did, an internship, as the students at the Met do, and he's now working in the industry that he, did an internship in. And it's always been, an interest of ours to see something like a meaningful internship be part of the high school experience, for as many kids as we can make that happen for.
It is. It's very labor intensive, and again, I think you need to look particularly at the needs, look at it from industry's perspective and see what industry needs, and then from the district's perspective, staff it from that, through that.
So thank you. Thank you for the work and the progress.
All right, that concludes the presentation. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Mr. Love. That was an information item. On to item H4. This is an action item. It's agreement with the California School Employees Association, San Diego Chapter 759, Para-Educators Bargaining Unit for Impacts and Effects for the 2018-19 school year. Is there a motion? We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Please vote. And that passes 4-0. Before we can hear item I2, we must first act on consent agenda item J16. Is there a motion? We have a motion on item J16, which is a resolution adopting the exemption from City of San Diego zoning ordinances for use, modernization, and construction of educational facilities at various district school sites. We have one speaker on this, Lorraine Burley. Lorraine Burley. All right. Any board member comments or questions? Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, please vote. And that passes 4-0. Now we can take action on item I2. This is determined that the acquisition of 3910 University Avenue is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15061, subsection B, little 3, general rule exemption, and approve reinstatement of and First Amendment to purchase and sale agreement for purchase of 2 parcels at 3910 University Avenue in City Heights for intended occupancy by Health Science High and Middle College. Do I have a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We have a speaker. On item I2, Andrew Bailey.
Excuse me, this is a speaker that you're looking for before on the last item, I think?
I'm sorry, we have you down as speaking on item I2.
No, I think that's me.
That's me.
Is Andrew Bailey present? You have 2 minutes, sir.
I was surprised when I was perusing the agenda on the way in to see that that's basically $30 million, and it just seems like the cost to benefit ratio for your $30 million isn't very good. It's what, 250 students and 180 parking spots. And for instance, Ms. Martin knows that just across the freeway there's at least 180 parking spots available that won't cost anything. But also I note that this part of town, 3901 University Avenue, is what I think of as sort of the devil's triangle of public funding or public spending, however you want to look at it. What do I mean by the devil's triangle? There's lots of people there that aren't involved, aren't activated, and aren't educated, and so it's easy to take advantage of them. An example of what's happened there is, maybe you're familiar with the bus stops over by there. Millions and millions of dollars got spent in those bus stops over there, and it just got railroaded through. It's bad design. It's very complicated. They had animation that showed that it worked. People are getting ripped off on tickets left and right because of that. Users don't, we want people to ride the bus, right? The way they designed it, people don't want to ride the bus because it's like this security, the security hazard. But going back to the $30 million, it seems like you could get a better buy. I realize that's some valuable property, but we're talking about parking spaces and only 250 students. If you took, 1% of that, or no, it's 1/10 of 1% of $30 million, you could hire 3 teachers at Language Academy. Now, I realize it's Proposition Z, so you probably can't use the money for teachers, but we do have parking problems over at Language Academy, too. Nobody's paying attention to it. It's turning us, these arcane parking rules are turning us into parking scofflaws. And you look at our website, there's an advisory right there about it, but nobody's doing anything about it. Maybe you guys can do something about it. By the way, thank you very much for your consent on item 15.
Thank you. Citizen, you have 2 minutes.
I object to the use of Prop Z monies for buying this property. Prop Z money should be used to improve facilities instead of doing a land grab by the school district. We had properties, we owned properties, taxpayers owned properties, and you guys sold those properties. You sold them for millions and millions of dollars, and those millions and millions of dollars are gone. You were bad stewards of our properties. Instead of using that money and putting it aside for a time when you might need to buy property in an area for educational reasons, you didn't do that. You just spent it on one-time expenditures, and it's all gone. And now you're going to put the burden of all this $30 million on our backs instead of using it for improvements of schools that are truly needed.
Thank you. Any board member comments or questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please vote. Okay, that is approved 4-0. Now we move on to item I4. This is a public hearing and an action item. This is a public hearing and resolution to grant permanent easement and right-of-way to San Diego Gas and Electric Company on a portion of district-owned real property at Adams Elementary School. Is there a motion? We have a motion and a second. I'd like to open up the hearing. Are there any speakers on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Any board member comments or questions? Please vote. And that is approved 4-0. Now we move on to the rest of the superintendent's consent agenda. This takes us to item J15, the bilingual authorization waiver for French language immersion teachers. Item J15, is there a motion? We have a motion and a second. Andrew Bailey. Andrew Bailey. All right, any board member comments or questions? Okay, please vote. Okay, that is approved 4-0. Any other public speakers on non-agenda items? We have Joe Ellen Archer. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I won't need that much time. Just a occurrence that came this evening, I noticed. You were very considerate, went out of your way to the building trades unions and gave them extra time. People who turned in late slips, they got to speak also. I'm just asking, as you end the year 17-18 and we go into 18-19, that you give that same consideration to the unions that represent the staff for this district. I ask you to be patient, and I ask you to listen when those unions bring up concerns about how this district is being run. It doesn't only work one way when you want to pass a bond measure. Thank you.
Thank you. We're now adjourned.